We're going live. Stupid thing sucks. And that's all we have for today. And that's tomorrow. And here's a new cut off Sting's new album. And then he just like flipped tables and everything.
Yeah. Bill O'Reilly was a little bit of a psycho.
Dude, just a wee bit. I'm hoping that we're going to get some people on here because we didn't plan any of this, even though we planned it. And most of that is on me, but I'm thinking it's also a bit on you.
True.
So we're only doing this for 1 hour to all of the 0 people who are watching. Hey, can you?
Well, I'm recording. What's up?
Oh, we got one person right now. It's probably you. Hey, do me a favor. Go check your YouTube and make sure this is coming through on your YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Right now.
Say what?
Yeah, it's going live. I'm live.
Cool. We're live. All right. So again, kind of, even though we knew that the topic was going to be about President Trump's indictment, I've got a couple of things that I want to show. So we have the press conference, like the 2 minute and 30-second press conference with Jack Smith, which I want to go over. And then Pop. I wonder if it's my dad. Pop, are you my dad? Is it dad? He says Pop. So like my dad, like religiously watches my stuff.
That's cute.
That is cute. Especially because he's not like crazy liberal. So like, you know, that's loyalty right there.
True.
Pop, if you're my dad,
I don't know what it's like.
That's a strange sentence. I'm sorry?
I don't know what it's like to have supportive parents.
Well, honestly, I would say that that's tragic, but knowing you as I do, I actually am kind of on your parents' side.
Can't blame your parents.
You are a wildly unlikable person. So I can if you want me to be. Okay, so that's not my father. It may be my daddy, but it's not my father. But yeah, so the Trump indictment thing. So, okay, bit of a reminder because we're trying to do this cohesively. So you all may recall that Stax and I used to do this. Why is it not showing up on stream? New comments will display here. Why are the... I swear to God. Is this showing up? Go to YouTube and tell me if it's showing up on...
If what's showing up?
Yeah, the comments.
No, nothing.
Of course they're not. Why would they? Why would it work exactly as advertised?
Nope. Love it.
Love it.
I'm just happy that I'm not the only one with tech issues constantly.
It's supposed to be the you know, again, the thingy, whatever. So we're going to start doing this. We're going to try to start doing this again once a week on Sundays for an hour to an hour and a half, probably an hour and a half. Keep it trimmer, keep it more cohesive. That way we can put more of these videos on YouTube in segments, kind of like more polished and professional live streamers than ourselves.
Well, not the attitude will stay.
The attitude will absolutely irreverent. There's going to be banter, probably some flirtation, maybe even some nude. No, I'm just kidding, not that. But, we're going to try to be a bit cohesive about it. This first inaugural episode, Stacks, though, has a single topic.
And that's, the Trump indictment, which is probably one of the biggest news stories of the year, as we've said. But I don't know. I don't know how to undersell how huge this is for a sitting president to be indicted.
Well, he's not
former president.
I knew it. So that's your spoiler. So Stacks, you're part of MAGA, aren't you? You still think that Donald Trump's a sitting president?
Well, look, it's an illegitimate election, so
of course. Of course.
Yeah.
No, it is top fiver. Easily, I think, at least in modern history. And I mean, it's only just begun, right? Because as a bit of a recap, before we get into this, Donald Trump has already been indicted at the state level by the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg on like 34 counts of felonies. I think they are, right? Now here we have 38 federal indictments by special counsel Jack Smith. And this is where it gets complicated. So special counsel Jack Smith was appointed by President Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland, and he has two parts of his remit, okay? Number one, he's supposed to investigate the retention of government and classified documents. That's one. And then the second one is he's supposed to investigate President Trump's involvement with January 6th. So he has two separate parts of his investigation. These indictments, these 38 indictments, they only pertain...
It's only the nuclear documents, yeah.
Well, just the documents, period, yeah. So he may end up facing other indictments down the road pertaining to January 6th. And then,
yeah, I was just about to say, this
Go
isn't
ahead.
even, well, yeah, sorry. I don't want to cut you off. I know
No,
this is
go
kind
ahead,
of
please.
your, but yeah, I think there's 5 investigations and only one has been, so there's the, because yeah, there's the tampering with the Georgia election, right? That basically during the 2020 election, he called the Georgia governor, if I'm remembering this correctly,
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, gotcha. The Secretary of State to basically just say find more votes in a very clear, like we have recordings of it.
Yeah,
and
100%. It was
very obvious.
11,780 stacks. Like he flat out, he didn't just say find more votes. He gave a very specific number, which
Yeah.
happened to be one more than what Biden got. So
Yeah.
like Biden got 11,779 votes, and he was like, find me 11,780.
It's not a clear. It's about as clear of an admission of guilt without like an actual admission of guilt. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't say commit fraud for me, but he basically goes like, hey, listen, we need to how's it going, Wick? We need to find the votes however you need to find those votes. And it's a little bit of a fright. Yeah, it's a huge like wink, and it's a little scary to listen to, legitimately.
Yeah, so he may be facing indictments from Fani Willis, the district attorney in Fulton County, Georgia, pertaining to those. So yeah, there could be a nexus of like 4 to 5 cases against Donald Trump as he is trying to run for president in 2024. So a couple of comments though, real quick before we dive into it. So one of our previous viewers, the last time we were here, said,
Don't get distracted.
My question is if they have the ability to turn this into a 45-minute info dump on Star Wars.
We can always have that ability. We are trying not to get distracted this time.
That's right. We're trying not to avail ourselves of our nerdery here, but yes.
Yeah, Josiah came to me and he was like, hey, listen, I know we just want to talk about Star Wars for an hour and a half.
But Trump is indicted. Trump is indicted. And then
Not
Stacks
this-
was like, bro, what if like they indicted Emperor Palpatine, you know, like what would, bro? And I'm like, bro, that'd be wild, bro. Yeah, but we're not going to do that.
We're not. We're going to try not to.
Yeah. Yeah. And hi, Wick. And then enjoy the channel, bro. Absolutely appreciate that. And listen, you should also check out, so Staxiums here is on TikTok, at Staxiums. He's eventually going to migrate to YouTube, he says, but he's been saying that forever. So
okay, first off, I've had so many technical issues for making videos right now that I'm like 95% done with like this really big video essay project that I'm going to be putting out. Probably
it's 10 minutes long. I'm sorry, it's 10 minutes long. Okay,
it's 25.
Oh, okay, there we go. All right, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. So you can find him on YouTube as well at Staxiums. You dropped the numbers, right? This is your.
I did. Yes,
that's good.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Let's see. All right. So let's get into it. We talked about the background here, the concurrent legal troubles facing President Trump, the Manhattan indictments, now this one from Jack Smith, and then potentially 2 to 3 other sets of indictments as well. So I want to quickly play the 2.5-minute press conference from Jack Smith, the special prosecutor. And then we're going to unpack it. We're going to look at the a photocopy of the indictment itself, the unsealed indictment. Obviously, we probably won't read all 49 pages, but it's relatively straightforward and relatively digestible for a legal/political document. So I would encourage everybody to read it. Obviously, MAGA will not read it. Even if they were literate, they would choose not to. But I would encourage each and every one of you to do it as well. They wrote this in a way to try to make it as digestible as possible to laymen such as us. So let's watch the clip and go from there.
Good afternoon. Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with felony violations of our national security laws, as well as participating in a conspiracy to obstruct justice. This indictment was voted by a grand jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida, and I invite everyone to read it in full to understand the scope and the gravity of the crimes charged. The men and women of the United States intelligence community and our armed forces dedicate their lives to protecting our nation and its people. Our laws that protect national defense information are critical for the safety and security of the United States. He had no ability to, and they must be enforced. Violations of those laws put our country at risk. Adherence to the rule of law is a bedrock principle of the Department of Justice, and our nation's commitment to the rule of law sets an example for the world. We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone. Applying those laws, collecting facts, that's what determines the outcome of an investigation. Nothing more and nothing less. The prosecutors in my office are among the most talented and experienced in the Department of Justice. They have investigated this case hewing to the highest ethical standards, and they will continue to do so as this case proceeds. It's very important for me to note that the defendants in this case must be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. To that end, my office will seek a speedy trial in this matter, consistent with the public interest and the rights of the accused. We very much look forward to presenting our case to a jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida. In conclusion, I would like to thank the dedicated public servants of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, with whom my office is conducting this investigation and who work tirelessly every day upholding the rule of law in our country. I'm deeply proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. Thank you very much.
So, a few things. I want to address this because I hear this floating. I've seen this floating around quite a bit over the last few days since the indictment came out. Have you ever seen that tweet where it's like I don't know how old Donnie's gonna wriggle himself out of this jam, and then like he easily wriggles himself out of that jam, and he easily wriggles himself out of the jam, and it's like, well, nevertheless, you know. Do you know what tweet I'm talking about?
No, I've not seen it. So if you want to, somebody can find it or whatever, and then we can share it. But anyway, while you're
So I think we all remember the Access Hollywood tape coming out, and all of us collectively going, "Oh, it's done for Trump," right? And a lot of people are like, "Hey, don't get excited because we felt this way before." I think what he will always have a complete grasp on is public opinion. But this is no longer public opinion. I still think that even while he's rotting in a jail cell, you know, half of this fucking country will be like, that is an issue with justice. That is a free man. He's still basically our president. He's going to come back like the Messiah. I don't think he will ever lose. Like when he was saying, "Hey, I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue, I wouldn't lose my base." 100% accurate, but this is no longer public opinion, and I don't think that he can evade the Department of Justice coming at him anymore.
No. So I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's been some preliminary polling on this. Actually, I know there has been. If I can find it here, like I said, we're trying
about
to
like the innocence of Trump. What's the polling?
Well, so check this out. Let me do a quick screen share here. So 76% of likely GOP primary voters are more concerned about the indictment being politically motivated. 12% are more concerned about the national security risk Trump posed.
It's crazy.
Let's just sit on this for a minute, okay? Like seriously. So this is a YouGov CBS poll, okay?
There's an echo while we're here.
Gotcha. All right. So this is a CBS YouGov poll. It's very reputable. And the fact of the matter is that three quarters of likely Republican primary voters are more concerned that the indictment was politically motivated than the substance of the indictment itself. Which, by the way, listen, I'm inclined to give the FBI the benefit of the doubt here. Many people may not be. Fine, fair enough. So let me just say this: even if you're not particularly inclined to give the FBI the benefit of the doubt, two things can be true simultaneously. It can be true, hypothetically, that Jack Smith and everybody who works at the FBI hates Donald Trump's guts.
Mm-hmm.
They're not androids. They're people with opinions and biases like everybody else. And it's entirely possible that they want to get this guy. And it can also be true that Donald Trump did the things that
broke the law.
Right. Yeah. They're not mutually exclusive. Right. And so this idea that they have to be, what's important is not their biases or how they feel about the man, but how they're able to separate how they feel about the man from due process.
Which, by the way, I just want to say thank you to the GOP for saying how important law and order and facts over feelings have been, because I have digested that and I have realized, you know what, law and order does matter way more than personal feelings. And that's why you know, I understand. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. You get where I'm going with
No,
that.
I do get. Well said. Well said.
Thank you. Really landed the.
You're such a wordsmith. It's truly incredible to see you do what you do. Now, listen, as I've told you before, you're here basically for eye candy, and that's basically it. Okay.
Aye, Captain.
Okay. So, I do want to say let's dive into some of the actual unsealed indictment itself. Again, 49 pages. We're not going to read it verbatim, but I cannot emphasize this enough. This is a relatively straightforward document that tries to be as sparse as possible with legalese and jargon. I think any sufficiently well-read person will be able to get through it because it's done just very, very seamlessly. So the thing is, I guess we'll start with a couple things. So Donald Trump, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just curious. I've never read an open indictment before, I don't think. Do you think that this is they're usually just this well read, or do you think this was
So
an
apparently,
understand? Yeah, go ahead.
no, so apparently there are two types of indictments stacks. There's one, and I don't know what the legal terms are, but there's like a narrative indictment, and then there's like a skeletal indictment. Those are, I think, are the colloquial terms of the two types of indictment. And so basically, a skeletal indictment is basically just a bare bones document. It doesn't go forth into any like context or anything like that. It's just like, here are the charges, and then we'll get into it at trial, right? Because again, this is not a indictments are basically like a formal recitation of charges. It's not like an argument, right? Like they're not giving a printed transcript of all the evidence that they're going to unveil and recordings and everything like that. It's a list of charges. And then you have a narrative indictment when they actually try to provide additional context, because there's always a chance that the public might read this, because when an indictment is unsealed, it becomes a matter of the public. So in a situation like this, where you are indicting the former president of the United States, who is running for president of the United States in 2024 and may yet eventually be president in that election, and he is the leader, the undisputed leader of one of two major political parties. When you unseal this indictment, you know the public's going to look at it. So Jack Smith and his team wrote this as a narrative indictment, where they basically listed out point by point, and they provide, context. They go out of their way. They give you like snippets of stuff Trump has said in the past to frame his culpability and all these things. So let's see. A couple of comments here. Tweet was by Jesse Farr, Bronzehammer in 2016. Well, I'd like to see old Donnie Trump wiggle his way out of this jam. Trump wiggles his way out of the jam easily. Well, nevertheless. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, that is the one I'm talking about, yeah.
Pop says, well, MAGA isn't sufficiently well read. Many of them are not. Unfortunately, there are many in the Republican Party who are expertly well read and are just using their powers for evil. It's willful ignorance. And of course, Stacks, at any point, if you want to, first off, is there an echo here? Because I did a different type of screen share.
No, this is fine as far as I could hear.
Okay. Diana Turner says, well, I think that's why Trump announced he was running for earlier than anybody else, because he thought that might help him make it a political. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a really, honestly, Donald Trump, credit where credit is due. He knows how to play his crowd. He knows how to play his base and to pivot these incredible, indictments of national security is what he fucking ran on in 2016 against Hillary's emails. And his pivot to say that this is a political witch hunt it's shocking that it works, but I do think he's a master of his own base.
And it helps that he's got a cult, right? So,
right. Oh, absolutely.
MAGA is effectively the biggest cult in the history of the United States in terms of raw numbers. And then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, I think generally speaking, something that people get surprised by quite a bit with like cult-like behavior is like oftentimes when they make predictions about some large event, the Christ coming back essentially, then that day comes and then goes, and you would assume that a lot of the believers would eventually leave. But research shows, for a lot of surprising reasons, that they end up just clutching even harder, even though they made completely inaccurate predictions. And I definitely see that here, where even though they made all of these predictions that Trump was going to, Trump was essentially going to resurface in like 2022 or something like that, that he's always been the real president, the real QAnon, like crazy crowd. Or all this stuff about the Kennedys being like resurrected and technically the president like is going to run as the vice president, all that nonsense stuff. None of that has come true, but you just dig your heels in deeper, and it's I think it's cultish behavior, absolutely, like to the T.
Yeah, so we'll read this comment, and then I've got some things I want to say on that front. So Null says, do you guys really believe that they're going to find 12 people in Florida and not one of them is going to lie to get on the jury and nullify the verdict? So I'm not psychic, and obviously, we're not at the trial yet, and the defense has not been given an opportunity to try to rebut the evidence. But based on what we know, the evidence is stupidly overwhelming to the extent that even Fox News, contributors like Jonathan Turley, who is this Georgetown professor that they always parade out on every congressional hearing and every Fox News story to, mimic GOP talking points. Even he says, yeah, this doesn't look good. This is Jack Smith's no joke. These indictments are very serious. The evidence is compelling. Trump's own former Attorney General Bill Barr, and we may play a clip eventually if we get through this because we only have about 58 minutes. He says the same thing. Trial's not over yet, but the evidence is overwhelming, and Trump's screwed if any of this is true. So having said all that, if everything they say is true, the only way Trump gets out of this is jury nullification, where the jury doesn't decide based on the facts, but based on their own biases. Like, yeah, the evidence is overwhelming, but kind of like how we just showed you that poll of where 76% of GOP primary voters are just more concerned with the idea that this is politically motivated. If one of them gets on the jury and they're not persuaded by the evidence, sure, because a guilty verdict, from everything I remember, has to be unanimous. You can't have one holdout.
But doesn't a hung jury just mean a retrial, right?
Right.
Even if one of them does nullify the verdict, that we'll just repeat this process over again.
Right. But dragging it out works to Trump's benefit, because the other thing too is, none of these charges, if Trump were convicted, would prevent him legally from A, running for president, or B, being elected president, and C, let's say the timeline, it's very probable that there will not, even if there's just one trial, it's very probable that this will not conclude by the time of the November 2024 election. Mm-hmm. So let's say you can go run down the permutations, but the point is, even if he's found guilty of these things, let's say he's found guilty after he is the sitting president. So like, he's not convicted. He can still run for president. He can still be elected president with a guilty conviction. He can be sitting in the Oval Office in February 2025 and get the guilty verdict. The trial is over, but the guilty verdict is rendered. He can't be removed. He can't be removed from office from a so the timeline works for him.
Yeah, that's scary. I don't know how else to say that. Like, that is one of the most. So a few things. One, I do want to just say my final piece about the 12 guilty verdicts. This is going to be a vetting process for the jury like we've never seen before.
Yeah, you have voir dire.
What'd you say?
It's called voir dire, where they do jury selection, where they ask questions of potential jury. And it's possible that so to answer going back to null, it's possible that the juror could lie, but they're going to do like a sweeping investigation. They're going to look at their social media. They're going to ask all kinds of questions. And I'm pretty sure if you lie during like jury selection, that has potential legal consequences for you. So Stacks, who is a strident Trump supporter, if the prosecutor asked Trump or asked Stacks, hey, do you love Donald Trump? And Stacks lies to them, and then they find evidence, contradicting that, Stacks will. Of course they will. They see Stacks doesn't show you his entire room, but it's littered with MAGA stuff, right? MAGA paraphernalia.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why you only see this side of the room. Yeah,
that's the only side that
I have to push all of the MAGA stuff. Like it's overcrowded to a point where it was already overcrowded, and then I had to make space on this wall to record, these anti-MAGA talking points to like inject myself into Antifa.
Sure. And note, you're not seeing the top of his hat either. You only see that 11-foot bill that's coming out because it's actually a MAGA hat.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Now I'm self-conscious about the hat. All right,
Oh,
I'll
it's
put it
fine.
away.
Oh, there we go. His luscious
Unbelievable.
locks. Okay, I'm
True.
sorry. Now you were saying about the jury selection.
Oh, no, I was just saying that like this is going to be a vetting process like we've never seen before. That's all. Like I like everything that just like if you are a diehard MAGA supporter, you are not going to be able to slip your way onto this jury because there's just going to be so much investigations to make sure that you've never posted anything like that, biased super hard in one way or the other, which it's gonna hard it like you can't not be biased as a juror on this thing, but they're gonna do their best, and an obvious MAGA simp is probably not going to be allowed on the jury.
We'll address this one and then we'll go back to the document. Last comment: major right-wing figures taking L's on both sides of the Atlantic in recent days. What a week. He's talking about Boris Johnson. Have you heard anything?
I have
about
not
that?
heard anything about Boris Johnson. What happened with Boris Johnson in the Atlantic?
So Boris Johnson, I'm 90% sure it has to do with the fact that he's like, which I don't know what the process is in the UK, but he's under fire for having a party in violation of his own COVID standards and things like that. And I'm pretty sure he's being investigated by Parliament. I don't know what the consequences would be, but like he's catching flack right now simultaneously. So Boris, Trump, and Bolsonaro in Brazil, all three of these, various shades of Trump, they're kind of all screwed at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't know anything about Boris. I definitely knew about Bolsonaro, especially after Lula took power, that like he was a lot quicker than I think the US was with Trump.
100%.
Yeah. But I'm very familiar with how fucked Bolsonaro is right now.
Which I love it, man. And listen, and we'll probably get into that at the end, but I do want to address, we talked about it a bit before, I've done videos about it, but I do think it's important to compare and contrast Brazil's response to their version of January 6th, which this is not about. Remember, this is about the retention of government documents, classified and otherwise. But in terms of the behavior of former heads of state who are authoritarian, Brazil and the United States have gone about this wildly differently.
Yep.
So getting back to the unsealed indictment, I just want to read a couple of things here, and then again, we can unpack it, but just give you a sample of how the narrative unfolds. Again, defendant Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of the United States of America, regrettably. He held office from January 20th, 2017 until January 20th, 2021. As president, Trump had lawful access to the most sensitive classified documents and national defense information gathered and owned by the United States government, including information from agencies that comprise the U.S. intelligence community and U.S. Department of Defense. Now, just say here real quick as a reminder, the sitting president, whoever it is, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, is the ultimate classification and declassification authority over anybody. At any point, at any time, the sitting president can classify documents and can declassify documents. There is a process. People can say that he has psychic declassification powers. No, he does not. There is a process because the intelligence community obviously needs to know when the president has declassified. Actually, we're going to stop right here because this is really important. Okay, this is something, Stacks, I know you've heard it. I know you've heard it on TikTok, and I know you've heard it in debates. Trump can declassify things with his mind, and he doesn't need to tell anybody.
Yeah, I think that was his own defense, wasn't it?
Right.
That he basically said, hey, look, I can declassify things whatever I want. So I'll just say that it's declassified, or I'll just think that it's declassified, or I'll act as if it's declassified. And that means that it has been.
Right. Now, the problem is basically the crux of the argument is because, as I said, he was the ultimate classification, declassification authority. He didn't need to get anybody's permission to do it. And it's like, no, it's not about permission. He didn't need any subordinate's permission to declassify a thing, but he was obligated to let them know that he had declassified a thing because intelligence agencies, the National Archives, the Justice Department, they all have to keep track of documents, government documents, and make sure they're appropriately held and appropriately managed, which means they need to know from the president, hey, this thing is declassified, this thing is classified still.
Yeah.
So the argument is basically, well, we believe a sitting president's declassification and classification authority is so absolute that not only can they declassify or classify whatever they want.
They don't even need to let the intelligence community know.
Right.
Which is, that's bonkers.
Right. That's like that makes absolutely no sense
The
because
party
then
of law and order is back at it again.
when we run into a situation like this, when somebody has a document, why can't they lie and say, yeah, I declassified it. I just didn't let you know.
Yeah.
Take Trump out of the equation. Let's imagine it's Bill Clinton or Barack Obama or Joe Biden. What's to prevent a rogue former president from lying? Hey, I declassified this. Okay, well, where's the record of it? Well, I didn't create one because
I
I'm
didn't
not
have a
obligated
record.
to.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. And not even a president. There are other levels of classification authority. It doesn't even have to be a former president. Could be vice presidents, believe it or not, have classification and declassification authority. As a matter
Did
of
not know
fact,
that.
there are intelligence experts who say that right or wrong, the intelligence community treats a declassification order from the vice president as exactly the same as the president himself.
Hmm.
So if Mike Pence, when he was Trump's vice president, told the CIA, hey, I'm declassifying this, they would have treated it basically as an order from the president himself and declassified it. So what's to stop a former vice president, like Joe Biden, for example, from telling the public, yeah, all these classified documents, I actually declassified them. I just didn't tell anybody. The intelligence community has to know. There has to be a written record of it to prevent
Josiah, I
abuse.
feel like you might be confused here, though. That is different because I don't like Joe Biden, but I do like Donald Trump. So it's cool when he does it, is my perspective. As a sitting MAGA supporter through and through, that's it. Things just work different when things are different. You know, you're trying to trick us all
You
with
know
your
what?
logic,
Honestly,
saying, "Hey, if you have these standards for one president, should apply to another." But I don't like those presidents. Okay, Joe Biden's a socialist, all right, and Donald Trump ain't. Okay, he's fighting against socialism, so he can do whatever the hell he needs to because he will
that's
need to do what he
actually
needs to do.
I've got
So
nothing on that. I have nothing
exactly,
on that. You're right. I can't
exactly.
I can't defeat that. But anyway,
Defeated in the marketplace of ideas.
exactly
Once
the
again,
free market. So anyway, now that we've established that, over the course of his presidency, Trump gathered newspapers, press clippings, letters, notes, cards, photographs, official documents, and other materials in cardboard boxes that he kept in the White House. Among the materials Trump stored in his boxes were hundreds of classified documents. Now, here's the big one. The classified documents Trump stored in his boxes included information regarding defense and weapons capabilities of both the U.S. and foreign countries, U.S. nuclear programs, potential vulnerabilities of the United States and its allies to military attack, and plans for possible retaliation in response to a foreign attack. The unauthorized disclosure of these classified documents could put at risk the national security of the U.S., foreign relations, the safety of the U.S. military, and human sources, and the continued viability of sensitive intelligence collection methods. Okay, so let's just stop right there for just a minute. That seems like not just like government docs, classified docs, but like the biggest secrets, like
how to create a nuclear bomb.
right.
I don't want to say that that's what it is because I don't know, but they keep referring to it as nuclear documents, and that is incredibly classified information. That is something that we do not let the public know. No one knows how to actually make a nuclear bomb. Very, very, very few people do. But that is classified information, and that shit is scary if people know about it. I feel like that should be self-evident.
Right. The reason that this is important is because obviously, given the size and scope of the federal government, there are all kinds of classified documents. And obviously, if they're classified, it's almost tautological. If they're classified, which means you shouldn't have them, period. But even within the classification, there's a world of difference. So, like, you might have a classified document that, if in your possession, it's classified, and if you're not authorized to have it, you shouldn't have it. It still may very well be a crime, but it's not necessarily a threat to national security, right? Like there are degrees, almost like, you know, how all crime is crime, but jaywalking is not as bad as axe murder. Yeah. So kind of the same thing here. I feel like if you are retaining documents, whether you've classified them or declassified them, but that pertain to the defense and weapons capabilities of the U.S., our nuclear program, potential vulnerabilities to attack, that's like the stuff, the highest order of stuff that you should not have.
I don't know what a higher order would be. Right. I'm not saying there isn't one, but I certainly can't think of a more sensitive topic that is related to not just national security, like world peace,
Right.
like world war.
Right.
Yeah, I can't think of a more important thing than
Right.
yeah.
That's
Anyway,
what I mean. It's important to not only just establish the fact that they're classified documents, they're also just government property, period, classified or declassified. He wasn't entitled to them. The National Archives, the Justice Department had every right to take them back. He had no right to keep them. But setting aside all of that, even within the classification process, there are some classified documents that are more dangerous in the hands of other people than others. And that's the important thing. These are, like you said, the most dangerous sorts of
this isn't just
documents
like
to have.
what's going on at Area 51,
Right.
or whatever. Is that
Well,
Area 51?
It is,
That-
yeah.
I mean, that is alien, so that is more important, I suppose, than
Aliens.
Piece, so.
Right. We need to do like the crazy haired the history guy. I can't remember his name, but the guy who's the meme.
Yeah, the aliens, yeah.
So at noon, January 20th, Trump ceased to be president. When he left the White House, he arranged for scores of boxes, many of which contain classified documents, to be transported to Mar-a-Lago, where he maintained his residence. He was not authorized to possess or retain those classified documents. It was a social club, tens of thousands of members and guests between January 2021 and August 2022. It was not an authorized location for storage, possession, review, display, or discussion of classified documents. Again, I repeat, all of those things apply. It was not an authorized location for storage or possession or review or display or discussion of classified documents. Nevertheless, he stored his boxes containing classified documents in various locations at Mar-a-Lago, including a ballroom, a bathroom, a shower, an office space, his bedroom, and a storage room. And so this is where, again, the narrative indictment. So on 2 occasions in 2021, Trump showed classified documents to others as follows, and then they provide A and B examples. A golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. Trump showed and described a plan of attack that Trump said was prepared for him by the Department of Defense and a senior military official. Trump told the individuals that he was showing this document to that the plan was highly confidential and secret. Trump also said, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but this is still a secret.
It's so...
You see, yeah.
It's so fun. Like, riddled throughout this document, not to give you a spoiler alert, but like we have so many quotations of Trump just going, I can't show you this.
But here, look at it. Yeah.
It's so like I don't know how to like emphasize how much
you can't see this, but here, look at this. Look at this.
So like, oh, it's a little scary. It's a little scary and it's a little unnerving. But like it's the most clear example that you could have of just like obvious. What is the technical name for this crime? And like declassified or sharing of
it's willful retention of government documents, or in this case classified documents. Depends on what the charge is.
Yeah, it's the most obvious examples of just admitting a crime. Right. Like it's just riddled throughout this document. His quotes, just him going, I shouldn't do this. Here it is. Right. But I can just say later that I can do it. Even though he can't.
Or maybe I said, here, look at this, but I didn't actually show you anything. Like, I've heard that level of cope from Republicans. Well, it's an audio recording. Maybe he said that he was going to show somebody something that he shouldn't show them, but he didn't actually show them. He was just running his mouth.
We heard a rustling of papers, but we don't know.
It could have been newspaper.
Could mean.
Yeah, it could have been blank paper. We know Trump. Trump likes to brag. Like, that's what they're reduced to. These people are so profoundly pathetic.
Yep.
I do want to share this too. I had a TS clearance. There are some things that even the president cannot declassify. Info about nukes are among these. So it's true that certain things require certification or like co-signing from like the Department of Energy, like when it comes to nuclear documents, just a level of check. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, the Department of Energy is subordinate to the president. So I'm sure like if there was a dispute there, it's like, hey, Secretary of Energy, sign off on this or you're fired, Right. But there is at least some level of accountability, some level of check on the president there. And so again, like it lists the examples. On March 30th, 2022, the FBI opened a criminal investigation into the unlawful retention of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. A federal grand jury investigation began the next month, April. The grand jury issued a subpoena requiring Trump to turn over all documents with classification markings. Trump endeavored to obstruct the FBI and grand jury investigations and conceal his continued retention of classified documents by, among other things, suggesting his attorney falsely represent to the FBI and grand jury that Trump did not have documents called for by the subpoena, directing the co-defendant, who is it's a ex-Navy valet who works for Trump, Walt Nauta, who was also indicted, to move boxes of documents to conceal them from Trump's attorney, the FBI, and the grand jury. That's the other thing. Not just the FBI, not just the grand jury, Trump's own damn attorney, which helps explain why this dude has such a struggle keeping counsel. He lies to his own attorney. I'm not an expert, but I imagine that's one of the quickest ways to lose a case or to get screwed by the legal system is to lie to your own damn attorney. You know what I mean?
No, 1,000,000%. Yeah.
Suggesting that, go ahead.
Well, you have confidentiality. I don't understand. Like, it's just crazy behavior.
Well, and I will say, I don't want to say this it's in Trump's defense, but even like attorney-client privilege,
there are some exceptions,
right? And those exceptions were availed of during the course of this investigation. The Department of Justice did force Trump's attorneys to, under the exception, the confidentiality exceptions, to testify against Trump. That's where much of the legitimacy of this comes from. But given that he endeavored to obstruct justice, can't exactly blame them. Yeah. Providing to the FBI and grand jury that some of the documents called for by the grand jury subpoena, while claiming that he was cooperating fully, and causing the certification to be submitted to the FBI and grand jury, falsely representing that all documents called for by the subpoena had been produced, while knowing that, in fact, not all such documents had been produced. So you see what I'm saying? You see how it breaks it down so organically? Each number makes a claim, and then it offers, which it doesn't have to, because again, this is just a formal list of charges, but they knew the public would read this as soon as it was unsealed and that there would be much commentary about it. And so they're like, listen, if you want to go and look at the words themselves, we're going to break it down almost like a debate. This is debate bro-y as hell. This is something Vosh or Destiny or, this is what they would do if they were writing a written document.
Or Josiah,
like
one of those
guys.
Or
100%. I would absolutely do this. And I want to skip some places here, but after his presidency, Trump retained classified documents originated by or implicating the equities of multiple United States intelligence community members and other executive branch departments agencies, including the following. You ready for this? The CIA, the DOD, the NSA, the space agency. This is the Space Force, Geospatial Intelligence Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office, the Department of Energy, Department of State and Bureau for Intelligence and Research. Dude, he had documents undermining all of them, either originating from these agencies or that affected these agencies. These aren't this isn't some like obscure accounting department. You know what I mean? Like this isn't like.
No, absolutely.
Unbelievable. And here again, debate bro as hell. I love it. They also put in here Trump's public statements on classified information, just to go to show how stupid this man is, how hypocritical this man is, and how he should have known better, as stupid and hypocritical as he is. As a candidate for the president of the United States, Trump made the following public statements, among others, about classified information. In 2016, in my administration, I'm going to enforce all laws concerning the protection of classified information. No one will be above the law.
That's what I was saying before. Like this was what he campaigned on, was national security, and saying, hey, you cannot trust the current administration or the one that is currently, running against me.
Right.
You can't trust Hillary Clinton. You can't trust. Yeah. Basically, it was mostly on Clinton's side.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how many public statements we have about how much he cared about national security.
Right. Many. Oh my God. Yeah. And again, I'm sure this isn't exhaustive. Remember, these there may be more, and these are all actually, as a matter of fact, in 2016. We need to fight this battle by collecting intelligence and then protecting our classified secrets. We can't have someone in the Oval Office who doesn't understand the meaning of the word confidential or classified.
It is kind of interesting. Sorry, you did mention something, which is these are all in 2016. And I do think that it would actually show more evidence of kind of Trump's personality around this whole thing if it stops immediately when the election begins, or as soon as he got elected, right?
Except it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't.
See, like that's Jack Smith anticipated that very question. And that's why. So he gives. This is why I mean how beautiful this narrative indictment is. Again, just even the way it's formatted. They make a claim on line 22, and then A through E are citations of that claim, examples of that claim. Then you get to 23. As president of the United States, the sitting president, on July 26, 2018, Trump issued the following statement about classified information. And then, of course, so as a head of the executive branch, commander in chief, I have a unique constitutional responsibility to protect the nation's classified information, including by controlling access to it. More broadly, the issue of a former executive branch official's security clearance raises larger questions about the practice of former officials maintaining access to our nation's most sensitive secrets long after their time in government has ended. I mean, it's almost like somebody went into the future, saw what was going to happen, came back in the past, got a job as a guy who writes Trump's comments, which he's supposed to read, and just set this dude up for the ultimate domino failure.
True. I mean, you could tell this wasn't written by Trump right here. Like we're all very familiar with his rhetoric.
Yeah.
I think when we look at this hypocrisy and like the career criminality of all of his actions, it's kind of stark because this kind of gets paired with his kind of cult following, where the GOP is really doesn't have a lot of options right now, because basically I watched this Fox News clip where Fox was really, really excited about Ron DeSantis, right? So they go down to Florida and they start interviewing people about how excited they are about Ron DeSantis, and no one can stop talking about how much they love Trump. Like, it is a cult, and there is no pivot, right? There is no pivot to another candidate. Sure, Ron DeSantis is as popular as he can be around Republicans, but he is never going to get that MAGA crowd to vote for anyone other than Donald Trump, even if he's in jail. And that is a terrifying place for the GOP to be in. I don't have any sympathy for the ghouls at the head of the GOP, but they are in a very, very unfortunate position right now.
Yeah,
where they have to. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think those are astounding observations, because the frustration for me, no, I don't have any sympathy for them either. They deserve this. They absolutely deserve to. They have put themselves in the ash heap of history, and that was after they fashioned the pyre and then lit the fire. You know what I mean? Like, they did it, and then they laid on it. I have no sympathy. As a matter of fact, I feel quite a bit of Schadenfreude. The frustrating part is, they may drag the rest of the country into this, because whether you like it or not, the GOP is like, and I should clarify, when I say the GOP, I've said this before and I'll say it again, but it bears repeating. I am, of course, referring to the Republican leaders and conservative thought leaders. I'm not referring necessarily to rank and file Republican voters and constituents, because I think they are often victims themselves of Republican rhetoric and Republican propaganda.
Yeah.
Right.
So there is a cyclical cycle to that. Like, I mean, we can feel sympathy for the voters who are basically just, victims to GOP rhetoric, but it kind of works both ways, where I would say a lot of GOP candidates are unfortunately victims to their voters, right? Where they might believe something internally and they're like, oh, I have to go on this fucking woke rant. I thought, we were a party of taxes, but I have to completely change all of my base, all of my everything that I stand for, to suddenly lock down these voters to like get me. It's like it's this terrifying like cycle.
Yeah, it's a feedback loop.
Yeah, exactly.
No, 100%. Like, and that's why even Republican constituents, even though I'm not demeaning them, there is a degree of culpability. They play a role in this. And so while many of them have my sympathy, I mean, I've got family members and friends who are conservatives who I love and cherish. I don't really respect their political views. That's just the truth. But I don't demonize them. The biggest culprits are the people who are paid to know better, people who live in politics, the political leaders themselves, governors, congress people, senators, former presidents, whoever, and conservative thought leaders, people like Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson, Rupert Murdoch, whoever, like, again.
Yeah.
So having said all that, they may drag the country in with them, because whether we like it or not, the flailing of the Republican Party in the situation is going to hurt the rest of the country as well. I do want to show this comment here. Jack Smith tries to point this freakish amount of Trump hypocrisy. Yes, and he does an phenomenal job of doing so. So get back to it. And so it gets into it. And of course, like this is an initial photocopy. The actual like colorized photos are out there on the internet.
Yeah, I've seen a picture of it's a little insane. Those I've seen. I think I've seen only a couple pictures, but it's just of all of the boxes just in a shower in a bathroom,
Yeah,
and it's like they're
as
just
one
like
does.
strewn about, and there's like papers on the floor, and
Mhm.
it's yeah exactly right there as we were
Yeah.
moving right past it. I do think that colorized. Are all of these colorized photos available, just not on this document.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think that again, this was a photocopy of the unsealed indictment. I think they've released like an official version
Sure.
where it includes colorized documents, and the colors themselves are like CNN, MSNBC, and everything else. They're
Can we
out
read
there.
this dialogue right now?
Yeah.
Sorry, this is just like this is what I was referring to. Where like you read this and it's just him going, "This is a crime to show you.
So
Here it is right now."
So I'll read the background to it, and then maybe you and I, because we're both pop culture geeks, can do some theater, and we can role
excited.
play this. Okay. Will you want to be Trump or the staffer?
I feel like your Trump impression is better than mine, so I'll let you handle
It's
this one.
almost as good as my Jordan Peterson impression, isn't it?
Which is exactly. Which is just it's spoiler alert. It's just Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, it
He
is.
just
It
does
is.
Kermit the Frog. He nails Kermit the Frog.
Slay the dragon of our or whatever the Kermit does. I don't know. Okay. So on July 21st, 2021, and here's what I love. Look at this. Look at the stacks. On July 21st, 2021, when he was no longer president.
Yeah, just in case you were confused about the timetable. We're going to break this down really, really easy. Like, yeah.
Trump gave an interview in his office at the Bedminster Club to a writer and publisher in connection with a then forthcoming book. Many people are speculating this is a biography about his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows. 2 members of Trump's staff also attended the interview, which was recorded with Trump's knowledge and consent. Before the interview, the media had published reports that at the end of Trump's term as president, the senior military official, who many people are believing as the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, purportedly feared that Trump might order an attack on country A, and that the senior military official advised Trump against doing so. Upon greeting the writer, publisher, and his 2 staff members, Trump stated, "Look what I found. This was," the senior military official's, "plan of attack. Read it and just show it's interesting." Later in the interview, Trump engaged in the following exchange, and this is where we're going to act. Okay, you're writer, you are writer, and also staffer. You're both. Okay.
Am I on your side, or am I like oh, this is fucked up, but I'm gonna like not be offended towards you?
I'm sorry.
No, never mind. I'm.
You're getting
sorry.
into character.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Get in. I forgot. So Stacks is a method actor. Okay. When he takes an acting assignment, he embraces it fully. So you just center yourself. Okay. Because I have
you focus on the accents. I'll focus on the acting.
Trump says, "Well, with senior military official, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack country A. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look, this was him. They presented me this. This was off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Department of Defense and him."
Oh, wow.
"We looked at some. This was him. This was done by me. This wasn't done by me. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. Pages long. Look." Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Wait, no, that's the staffer. Wait, no, that's different.
Yeah, your staffer and writer.
There's 2. Sorry,
Yes.
I wish we had like at the beginning of the play. It's like, hey, here's all of the characters.
Yeah, the dramatis persona.
We didn't get that. Yeah, we didn't get that before.
Yeah,
damn it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You have you have to do laughter.
Yeah.
"I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Except it's like highly confidential.
Yeah.
Secret. This is secret information. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This is secret information. Look at this."
This is like
I want to can we do that one more time? Sorry. Except this is like highly confidential.
Yeah.
Secret. This is secret information. Look at this. What an idiot.
Oh my god.
By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just thinking, because we were just talking about it. And he said he wanted to attack country A, and what
You did.
this was done by the military and given to me. I think we probably can, right?
I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to see, and we'll have to try to
Declassify it.
figure out. Yeah, yeah,
As president, I could have declassified it.
yeah.
Now I can't, I can't, but this is still a secret.
Yeah. Now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Now I can't. That's an admission right there that he is not able to, as some may claim, psychically declassify some documents.
Correct. Yeah. So
yeah, it's just I don't think there's a better, if there's anything that you take away from this, it is the look, this is classified. Look at this. It is it's frustrating. It's like almost it's like psychic damage. I've taken psychic damage looking at this, where I haven't seen anything as obvious as this. Like it's just an admission of a crime. That's all that it is, and a federal crime, like one of an incredibly, I don't know. It's just frustrating to look at. That's all.
Well, and actually, real quick, I want to show one thing here. We're doing this a bit out of order, but I do want to play this because it's so damn important. This is relevant to exactly what we just talked about, and I want to play this clip here, and consider the context of what we just discussed. This is Jim Jordan, a Republican congressman from Ohio, and just absolute MAGA loon. Listen to what he has to say on a CNN interview with Dana Bash.
He says in his own words, it's on tape as part of this indictment that he did not declassify the material. Therefore, it is
Dana,
classified.
saying he could have is not the same as saying he didn't.
He said, now
he
I
has
can't.
declassified this material. He said that meant now he can't, right, because he's not president now, but when he was
Which
president,
means
he
that
did
it's
declassify.
classified.
He said that.
Which means that what he was holding was classified.
No, not when he not if he declassified it when he was president of the United States, for
But
goodness
he's
sake.
saying point
Again,
blank in this audio tape
this is
that he did not declassify it.
So, just to clarify, Jim Jordan saying that when Trump said, I could have declassified this as president.
This is
as
like
president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't. This is still a secret. Yeah, now we have a problem. What he's saying is, well, he didn't
actually technically say it, but any human being who has ever spoken any language ever will understand that there is an obvious implication there that it is not currently declassified. He said, yeah. Like he's saying, I could have classified, I can't right now. Obviously. And then doesn't he say it is secret?
Yes. Now I can't, but this is still a secret. Because here's the thing.
But it doesn't technically say that this is still declassified. There's a difference between declassified and a secret, and nowhere does it say that he didn't declassify it.
Now,
and that's that's the kind of mental gymnastics that people who are reading this document and are still on Trump's side have to go through. You have two options. You have one, this kind of mental gymnastics, or two, just saying all of this is a lie. This is all a corrupt institution. And, that's what the MAGA crowd is going to say, that this is all just lies.
100%. Because here's the thing. If he declassified it, then he wouldn't need the sentence. See, as president, I could have declassified it because it would have been declassified. And there would have been no point in bringing it up because it would have been just another piece of paper.
Obviously, and not only should that be said, but this is also basic intuition of anyone who has spoken in the real world. That no sentence is like every sentence that you give has context as to why you are bringing it up.
Sure.
And you would only bring things up if they are relevant to a conversation, and you wouldn't say I could have declassified it if they aren't currently declassified. And it's so frustrating that you have to walk through basic cognitive intuition of what people are saying in order to still take Trump's side. And that is what a lot of these Republican lawmakers and a lot of the people who've tied their boats to Trump are kind of forced to do right now.
100%. And again, so this demonstrates the narrative indictment. Everything is cited and sourced in a coherent, cogent, relatively concise way, which gets us to the charges. Okay. So it's like page 26, I think it is. No, page. Okay. So 7 different charges, I believe, but 38 counts total. Counts 1 through 31 are the willful retention of national defense information. Okay. And it breaks it down. It gives you like the classification, top secret, special handling. It gives you the date, it gives you the general description concerning White House intelligence briefing related to foreign countries, a undated document concerning military capabilities of a foreign country and the U.S. with handwritten annotation in black marker, document dated June 2020 concerning the nuclear capabilities of a foreign country, concerning the communications of a leader of a foreign country, concerning military capabilities of a foreign country, concerning military attacks by a foreign country. I'm just giving like random. Concerning military contingency planning of the United States. You see what I'm saying? So 31 counts of the willful retention of national defense information. And this is the other part. Please look. What word is missing here? What word do you not see? Classified. This is the other important thing. While the issue of whether or not Trump mishandled or abused the classification declassification system is all very interesting and is a moral and intellectual indictment of him, when it comes to the indictment itself, the legal indictment, the actual charges, I cannot stress this enough. It does not matter if you stupidly believe that he has psychic declassification powers. Even if we grant you that, which we're not gonna because you're wrong. The great thing about being against Trump in this situation is that all roads inevitably lead to the conclusion that you're wrong. I can grant you everything and I still win.
You can just, as long as you hold on to one thing, then you're fine. It could be any of those one things. Like there's 10 reasons as to why Trump can be guilty. I'll give you any of the 9. One of them will still put him away.
Right.
Like it's
the willful retention of national defense information, classified, declassified, it doesn't matter. The documents were not his. They belong to the federal government, of which he is no longer a member. And if the federal government says, give it back, you do what you're told, even if you're Donald Trump. It's the other thing. Donald Trump is the subordinate here. And I understand that a lot of people love strength, especially MAGA people. They like the idea Donald Trump's a strong man. Yeah. Donald Trump is inferior here. He's the underdog here. He's up against Jack Smith, a career prosecutor who, by the way, before he was given this assignment, was prosecuting war crimes for The Hague. He's so good at what he does. The U.S. loaned him to The Hague to prosecute war crimes, number one. The Department of Justice in situations like these have a 99% conviction rate if you count plea deals. If you don't count plea deals, it's in the mid-80s. The odds are against him. Donald Trump is not the president. He is a former president who still enjoys some degree of privilege, like, for example, Secret Service protection.
Secret Service, yeah.
That's a big one. But otherwise, he's not the most powerful man in the world anymore. You know who the most powerful man in the world is? Joe Biden.
Our God savior.
That's right. Infinitely more powerful than the pathetic Donald Trump, the frail, the fragile Donald Trump. I want to remind everybody of that your strong man, your MAGA cultist strong man is actually just some schlub now. He's just some orange schlub. Joe Biden has infinitely more power and prestige and probably sexual prowess as well. I feel like that's important to mention.
It's just the Chad versus Virgin meme.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's Virgin Trump versus Chad Biden. He's just better in all ways. And I love the fact that is something you have to digest every day. When you're like, Donald Trump is my president. Well, my president is your president's president.
One of my favorite things happening during the Trump indictment is a lot of people were saying like it's so nice to have what MAGA always wanted, right? Like to live their dream. because every single day they woke up and they go, Hillary Clinton's going to get indicted one of these days. Donald Trump is just going to stay president. And it's just like we wake up and we just have that as a reality. Like
Right.
we just get to have and we get to be morally right when we do it, which is kind of nice too.
It's
that
great. We get to do the things you wanted to do, and we have the benefit of moral superiority when we do it. Like, it's great. And even the way in which we go about it. This is being done by the FBI, which is populated mostly by conservatives. There has never, ever, ever been in the history of the FBI a Democratic leader of the FBI. There's never been a Democrat who has been the FBI director, not a one. The guy who's currently leading the FBI is Christopher Wray, a Trump-appointed Republican that Trump loved when he hired him.
Wait,
he's going to be great. He's going to be so good.
You're
Go
telling
ahead.
me the agency that belongs at the J. Edgar Hoover building is
Yes.
conservative?
Yes.
I don't follow that one.
I know. That's the great thing about Stephen Colbert said 10 years ago, reality has a well-known liberal bias.
Yeah.
And it's true. There is no both sides to the vast majority of situations in the political world in the United States. Republicans are simply wrong 90 times out of 100. I'm sorry, nobody's forcing you to be that way. You can stop being a flat earther at any time. You can stop being an anti-vaxxer at any time. You can stop being a climate change denialist at any time. You can stop being a conspiracy theorist when it comes to space lasers and election fraud. You can put that burden that you're carrying, that bag of bricks that you're carrying around, you feel so burdened by as a conservative in the United States, set it down. Come back to us. Come back.
Mhm.
It's okay. You know what? You can even keep some of it too. If you want lower taxes for the rich, even though you're probably not, especially if you're in a red state yourself, that's fine. Carry that bag with you if you want, but take out the other stuff. Like some of the stuff you just don't need. The fact of the matter is the facts are so overwhelming against this moron
Yeah.
that an intelligence agency that has only ever been led by members of his own party, members that he himself has appointed, and is populated with conservatives who tend to vote Republican. The facts are so against this idiot that even they are like, yeah, we got to go after him. We got to go after them. Yeah.
And I will say, we are laughing, we are having joy, but there is a little bit of terror at the bottom of all this, which is that he still might be elected president, and we might just have a felon as a president, and that is kind of a terrifying moment for American democracy at large. And I don't want to underscore how scary the consequences could be in a lot of different scenarios. This can end up kind of being a little scary, where suddenly like I don't know, like if this is what MAGA, like if we look at January 6th and we said that's what MAGA did when they felt like Trump could no longer be president, how are they going to act when Trump is now put behind bars? And like that is a legitimate concern and fear that we should have, that we should be cognizant of. Like I do like being cheerful and joyful, but like there is definitely a little bit of terror behind all this that I don't want to underscore. I don't want to freak anyone out, but I don't know.
No. So yes. So again, going back to this poll, this YouGov CBS poll, highly reputable pollster, Trump indictment, which concerns you more? Of likely Republican primary voters, 3/4 of them are far more concerned that the indictment is politically motivated than the idea that the documents that Trump had were a national security risk. The party which professes to take national security more seriously than anything, we're the party of the military and law enforcement, law and order, national defense, strong government, blah, 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 peace through strength. They are more concerned that their cult daddy may have been targeted, like there may have been some political bias against him, that the people who are going after him just don't like him, than they are the idea that he threatened national security. No, it's absolutely terrifying, especially when none of these if he is convicted, he can still legally run for president, be elected president, and serve out a second term as president. As far as I know, there is only one charge which is sedition or treason. That is the only thing that I know constitutionally which forbids a person from serving in public office. And none of these charges concern that.
How, if you are, I mean, if you're charged and then put into prison, how does that work? Do you
We've
have
never.
I think a lot of these questions are like really hypothetical, like theories by a lot of like lawyers who are way more qualified than we are, who are asking the same question, saying, I don't know how that would work, you know?
Right. He
I'm
would
wondering
either
if,
have to serve as commander in chief from a jail cell, or the court would perhaps make some sort of accommodation where he would be in the Oval Office with an ankle bracelet and perhaps, like, in leg irons, keeping him to the Resolute desk. We don't know.
yeah. And there's also a question of pardoning himself, which is legally vague, I guess we'll say.
So it is textually vague. Textually vague. Legally,
Okay.
the vast majority of legal scholars, including conservatives, there's a Latin phrase, and so I don't know the Latin, but it's basically a man cannot be his own judge and jury. And the idea is he can't commit a crime and then wave a magic wand and pardon himself, because then he could do it with impunity, right?
Sure.
The problem is textually, when it comes to pardon power, that's not clarified, right?
Right.
So this is the frustrating thing. And you could almost have a constitutional conversation about it too, where it's okay to point out that the founding fathers didn't have all this figured out, because they perhaps naively believed, well, no president would do something like this and then pardon himself. Surely not. So we don't need to clarify.
Or no public would ever be
Right.
crazy enough to vote for someone who is a legal, like who is criminally indicted or
No, indicted. Yeah. So
Yeah.
at the time that the Constitution was written, their political exemplar was a statesman like George Washington, right? So it never crossed their minds that and then going out through the timeline of Constitution, somebody like Abraham Lincoln. A lot of these hypotheticals did not occur to these people, because this is where unwritten norms and good faith are the lifeblood of a democracy. So you take the United Kingdom, which has no written constitution. Our buddy here, I'm going to butcher his name, but I call him Cam. He's in Scotland, so he's a member of the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom does not have a written constitution. They have a constitution which is comprised of norms, tradition, precedent. Yes, some written laws and other documents like the Magna Carta and other things as well, but they don't have a codified constitution. And yet, despite all the issues that the UK is going through, and they're going through many, it seems like they understand that you have to have some reciprocal good faith to keep the wheels going.
Yeah.
Because there's no way to account for all this stuff. You can have the best lawyers and constitutional scholars in the world drafting this stuff, and you cannot bad faith proof a system. You can't. If you get somebody like Trump, weasels and hypocrites and liars, and who care absolutely not for consistency, they'll say one thing on Monday, do something different on Tuesday. You'll never be able to preemptively prevent them from exploiting the system.
Mhm.
So, yeah, the pardon power is a great example. Most constitutional scholars, and I imagine even the Supreme Court, would be like, that's stupid. You can't do that.
You don't get a pardon
Right.
yourself. Yeah.
But why put the country through it? Why risk it? Right? Because I'm sure you would have some people, Jim Jordan, I guarantee you.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
They'll look at it. They'll say, there is no, does it say that anywhere in law?
Exactly.
Right?
Dana, this is ridiculous, Dana. I mean, yeah, it doesn't say anywhere that he can't pardon himself. But then imagine the counterfactual. I always love this. This should be one of the three responses that you have when you engage with a MAGA cultist or a conservative about this. Give them a counterfactual where it's Barack Obama or Joe Biden. Could Joe Biden pardon himself? Well, okay. Well, then shut your mouth. If Joe Biden can't do it, then Donald Trump can't do it. What goes for one must go for the other in terms of the scope of their powers. But they don't care. Like you said, what'd you say earlier? Well, I like those presidents. And
I like this one. So it's different when it's different.
Right.
And that's unfortunately, unironically, how a lot of Republicans and a lot of GOP members, just of that entire political party, just act. And it's a little alarming, I will say. I don't want to freak anyone out, because I don't like to engage in that kind of politics. But I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of futures where this could go really bad. So
Sure, absolutely.
make
Absolutely.
sure to fucking vote, okay, and make sure not to vote for Trump. That's all I ask. Well, vote for Biden. Actually, sorry, I don't know why I'm saying that's all I care about. Vote for Biden. Vote for Biden over Trump. This is an incredibly important election coming up because can you think of something more damaging to the American infrastructure, just the entire idea of our government process, than having a felon as a president? I could think of a few more, not very many.
Yeah, so before we get into summation, I'll just answer this final thing. So Cami says, I don't know if I'd look at the UK as inspiration for a good constitutional structure, LOL, even if the US structure is also flawed. No, that's why I'm saying. You guys don't. The US on paper has a much better constitutional
Well,
structure
1,000,000% way
than
more
you.
robust.
And yet, despite that, and despite the crazies in the conservative parties over in the UK, it seems like your constitutional crises are much better managed, and there's less existential dread than here, where we have a better constitutional structure. That's the point. As bad as it is in the UK, it seems like there's still more good faith among the statesmen there than there are here. I don't
Or
think
respect for precedent,
Yeah.
right, is like a huge aspect that I think just the GOP writ large just does not care about.
Right. And that's why, and this goes back to my longstanding thesis, norms, precedents, traditions, institutions are not the end all be all. They are not. They're important. They're very important because they confer legitimacy on a government. So you should try to respect them as much as you possibly can. But there's a reason we have an amendment process in the United States, because we recognize they're all flawed and sometimes they need to be changed or abolished outright or replaced. They're not the means to an end. And if you have a renegade, bad faith political party with no limiting principle, which is the Republican Party, then it is insane to demand that Democrats adhere to those same institutions, norms, traditions, and all these things slavishly. I think they should still respect them, but I am absolutely 100% encouraging the Democratic Party to strategically break norms, traditions, institutions if it prevents a worse outcome. This is a good example of this. We have a precedent, a norm of not going after former political leaders. That would be so stupid. Institutional shills who are like, institutions and norms are the most important thing, and Democrats just need to be by two hands behind their back. No.
Is that your impression of me?
That's my impression of any centrist. Okay.
Okay.
This is a case, and if you're one of them, then shame on you.
I'm a bit of an institutional shill. I definitely lean that direction way more than you do. I will say that.
Sure. So I'm going to ask you, should we have respected the norm and institution of tradition and tradition?
Well, I think not.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Let me ask the question
of
not going after political leaders.
I think that is a crazy norm.
Good.
So I will.
So it's good. You love that it's being crushed utterly, and
I do.
I'm right.
I do.
I'm right, and anybody who says that institutions are great and this one should be upheld, they're flatly wrong. And we should
as long as you're using the justice system, indicting, going through a criminal case, and using due process, which we are. So of course I stand by this.
Good.
No, the idea that politicians shouldn't be held to
even if that's a norm. Because
of course. Because I think that is such a damaging norm on either side, that should never be the norm.
I agree.
And we've seen how fucking terrifying that can be with like Nixon, where he just career criminals as presidents are scary, and we should no one should be above the law.
No.
I think that's a pretty, not to be the biggest liberal here, but
listen. I'm glad to hear you say that you want to break a norm. I love it. Some norms must be ruthlessly crushed. And I actually kind of want to see more spite from the Justice Department as they do this. They're not going to because they're professionals, but I want to see Jack Smith just smiling at Trump the whole time, going this. Yeah.
But we should have the I do think that we should have the Justice Department more interested in not like interested in politics, but like, I'm so fine with people who are engaging in politics to be indicted. Like, let's give them a fair trial. Let's give them a speedy, all of the due process, all that kind of stuff. Innocent until proven guilty. But yeah, if everyone's like, oh, let's just turn it on them. Okay, let's do that. Did Biden break the law? Let's find out. I would like to know. And I won't stand by him if he broke the law. If he did shit like this, I will immediately get rid of that guy. Okay? I love him right now because of the great outcomes. But if he no. If he like broke the law and just released a bunch of nuclear
I'm just
documents,
saying, get rid of that guy. Okay.
Oh,
please. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
all right. So we're gonna get
what
rid
I'm
of.
saying is I'm not gonna be on the fucking cult.
Well, you just
on the
said
Biden
you're a
cult
MAGA
right
guy.
now.
Yeah. No. Listen. No.
I
Absolutely.
mean, I do love Biden. So
Absolutely. That's what I've said about like Hunter Biden's a great example. They're like, we're gonna go after Hunter Biden. Like, okay.
Yeah.
if you got the goods,
did
I
he
don't
break
care.
the law? Like,
Yeah.
let's find out.
I don't care.
want to know.
Yeah. This was so funny. They're like, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z. Like,
We're
okay.
like, oh, please do it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not against this. I'm not against. If someone broke the law, let's find out.
No, 100%. So yeah, I'll just say this for my part in summation. I think the indictment's very serious. I think that most serious, even conservative or moderate commentators and experts also agree this does not look good again for Trump. I would say the odds are against him. Now, he does have a couple of things in his favor. Number one, this case is being tried in Florida. So the jury selection process will be difficult, will be very challenging for the prosecution. Manageable, but challenging. And the presiding judge currently is Aileen Cannon, who was a Trump-appointed federal judge who presided over the initial preliminary parts of the after the Mar-a-Lago raid, like when he requested a special master. She was the one who gave it to him. And she made so many determinations that were judicially wrong that the conservative 11th Circuit Court of Appeals said, this is stupid. This is absolutely stupid, and threw this stuff out. So she is, I think, pretty demonstrably a Trump shill in a robe. And right now she's the judge. So it could be temporary. It could be permanent. The Department of Justice may or may not challenge her position, demand that she recuse, and try to run it up the flagpole if she doesn't recuse and get her kicked off the case, which may or may not work. Or as an attorney in Destiny Stream told me the other day, maybe they're so confident of their case and they want to preempt any challenges for appeal that they'll let her preside over it. Because it is true, if she acts too egregiously, odds are, again, the 11th Circuit will go, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's also a good way to pivot against any public opinions who are saying, hey, this is just, this is a political kangaroo court or something like that. It's like, hey, if it's a kangaroo court, why is the judge appointed by Trump? Right. Why even she, like, if this goes in our favor, why did even she, like, it's just an argument against this sort of conspiratorial thinking that this is all happening for political processes. Like, why would she be involved then?
Right. Now, again, I don't know how much that will persuade people, because here's the thing. I think at a certain point,
Sure.
I think, again, it's all about strategy at this point. I think that you have to do a balancing act of, okay, do making these generous concessions, like allowing a Trump sympathetic presiding judge to preside. Am I going to throw MAGA a bone in the off chance that a few people are like, okay, it can't be a kangaroo court if the judge. I think a lot of people, as we've demonstrated, I feel like for the most part, in terms of statistical significance, if you're not convinced of Trump's guilt by now, I think statistically speaking, you're probably not going to be. You can probably have, some blips, like dozens, hundreds, thousands, maybe in the country out of millions and millions who are like, okay, I'm open to persuasion. But I
considering, it's a blip in the ocean, or a drop in the ocean is what you're saying, because there's 40 million people who vote. How many do you think might be convinced by this? A couple thousand. I'll agree with you.
Yeah. So whether or not you do things to accommodate that margin, I think is up for debate. Like, if it were me, I would it'd be a bunch of vibe checks. Like, yeah, okay, I might throw you a bone here. And then other times I might be like, hell no, I'm not throwing you a bone, because at this point I've thrown you so many anyway. Now I'm just going to go for the throat, legally speaking, politically speaking. But, we'll see where it goes. Any final thoughts from you, Stacks?
I don't think so. I am concerned, I guess, but we will keep an eye on this, and we'll be okay, I guess is what I'll say.
That was some serious half-hearted copium there. Please follow Staxiums on TikTok at Staxiums. Please follow him on YouTube at youtube.com/.
I'm releasing this. I'm releasing this really big, kind of emotional, personal project that I've been working on for quite some time. Very politically motivated. Josiah's seen a few drafts of it already,
have.
and I'm excited for it. It's going to be like a video essay. So if you're into that, follow me on YouTube. It's probably going to be released within a week.
Let me tell you something. He is way more talented and intelligent than he seems here. Like right now, you're blown out of your mind by the fact that his personality is so awful.
Right.
But I assure
well,
you,
I'm here for eye candy.
Yeah, again, yeah, exactly. That's all you contribute. As a matter of fact, you've been muted this entire time. I don't know if you know that. They've only heard me. You've been muted the entire time.
And you keep responding to me, which is weird, for your audience.
Well, because I didn't want you to realize that you were being muted and would throw a fit. But
right.
Yeah. Like they can't even hear you now. So, but yeah, I am looking forward to that video that you're gonna be dropping on YouTube, right? Like that YouTube channel that you have that you don't use, that YouTube channel.
Hey, I posted something 7 months ago.
Nice. Well, folks, we plan on doing this on the regular again. It's going to be relatively short. We used to go on for like 3 hours and, sing to each other and all. I mean, and there still will be some of that. And obviously the roasts and everything, but we're going to try to keep it to like an hour and a half.
Try not to get burnt out.
Yeah. And also with our busy, like real life obligations. And by we, I mean me. Stacks has no real life.
I have no life. I have
nobody
no
likes him. Nobody
likes
him.
I kind of just sit in a dark corner waiting until Sunday.
That's fine. Where you have some sort of like attention from another human being.
Yeah, it's nice. And you're the only one who gives it because I don't even get it from the audience because I'm muted the whole time.
Precisely. I would let you know if they have something to say about you, but they have not yet. Cammy's like, where? Because he's a huge Star Wars fan, as you know from the Discord server. He's like, where's the Star Wars rants? Those will eventually come back because Stacks agrees that The Rise of Skywalker is the best Star Wars movie.
I'm going to lose my mind. I don't even recognize it as a Star Wars movie. Legitimately. In my head, I just go, that's not canonical.
It has Ian McDiarmid in it, and Ian McDiarmid reading the telephone book is Star Wars canon to me. Do what must be done.
It's so uninteresting.
Boy. Whatever.
That's okay though. We got to call it soon because we're gonna put some hard limits on the time.
It's 1 minute and 26 seconds. So all right, everybody. Again, we appreciate this. Please like and subscribe. The next ones will be more planned. We knew we were going to do something this Sunday, and we knew it was going to be about Trump. This was on me. I should have planned the event, like put up the scheduled event days ago, and just totally slipped my mind. There's some stuff going on in the real political world, and it just got me distracted. Sadness says, "Hey, the new trilogy is trash." Now, here's where generally speaking, Stacks and I agree on that. We just disagree on which of the three is less trashy.
I think that one of the three is one of the gregreatest Star Wars movies of all time. That's
The Rise of Skywalker. Exactly.
Exactly.
So actually, we completely agree. The TLDR is my position is the Force Awakens is the worst Star Wars movie because it just basically just destroys continuity and it's a cowardly soft reboot. And your position, TLDR?
Last Jedi is amazing. Rise of Skywalker is garbage trash, and 7. You've convinced me that 7 is pretty garbage. It's still not as bad as 9.
Okay, there you go. So 7, 8, 9.
Nice, nice.
That's a good.
And with that, we're gonna call it.
All right.
Much
Peace,
love,
everybody.
everyone.